Good morning! It's 10:10 and I will be making my way to the airport very slowly, so I do not have to rush at all. I'm wearing sweatpants and my favorite shirt, and of course I will also be putting on my favorite sweater, and then it's time. Let the journey begin. I'm on my way to the airport, walking. It's very nice outside right now. It's 2 degrees I think, so it's really not too cold because of the sun and there is no wind. So I'm basically just enjoying this walk as I will be sitting in the plane for quite some time. I checked in my bag, I've made it through security and passport control, and now I'm just waiting for my gate information to be displayed. I'm already at the area of gate A, and then boarding only starts at 12:30. It ends at 13:10, so I still have a lot of time, and also I need to eat something. I haven't eaten anything today other than one cereal bar while I was waiting for the check-in. I'm really excited to finally get on this plane. Why did the focus leave again? This is so cool. Look at all the places you can go to from here. Mexico City, Montreal, oh my god. Panama, Bogota, Cancun, Medellin, crazy. A9. In the end, I had to get this way too expensive sandwich when I actually wanted to go to Burger King, but I was very negatively surprised that they didn't even have veggie. They didn't even have vegetarian without meat. They only had burgers with meat patties, which I was so stunned by because when I was in Madrid before, at the end of December, one time I also walked into a Burger King in the city center because I also wanted to check on the screen if they had vegan things. They also didn't have vegan things, but they had vegetarian nuggets and vegetarian menus. And that's why I was so surprised at the airport. I felt so fooled. How does that make any sense that not even within one country they have the same range of products? Yeah, well, anyways, just wanted to say that right here. Cause what? That is discrimination of people who do not want to eat dead animals. Brazil in Sao Paulo. I'm also 4 hours behind now. In Central Europe, it's almost 6 in the morning right now. I can't believe I even made it to this point. I mean, look, this is how I look. This was the hairstyle I had during the whole flight, and I really need to go freshen up, go brush my teeth, wash my face, comb my hair. But first, I wanted to tell you some more things that happened. So at the airport in Madrid, I wanted to get some food, right? So I walked back to Burger King because when I went for my gate, I passed a Burger King, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's probably pretty much the only thing where the price will be okay, and I will also at least have a vegetarian option. But well, who would have thought? And I really don't understand. At the airport, they didn't even have vegetarian stuff in Burger King. In the city center of Madrid, for example, they do have vegetarian options. Not vegan, but vegetarian at least. I was so surprised and disappointed. It's just so exhausting and so disappointing. In the end, I didn't go to Burger King, obviously. I found this one sandwich, which really it said on it that it was vegan, with vegan meat, you know? So I just bought that. It was also expensive, like all the other things that I could have gotten at the airport. It was like around 10 euros. Yeah, so the flight in general, it was totally okay. I had the window seat, of course, because I selected it. The plane was pretty full. I didn't see any empty seats, so also right next to me there was a person, but it was, you know, a young guy. We didn't talk, we were just both doing our things, but he was nice. Actually, for that, I, you know, later in the story, I will still get back to him. The flight time in the end was 10.5 hours. And from Madrid to this airport in Campinas, it's called, it was 8,700 kilometers. I did a lot of different things. I was reading. I finally started the book that I got for this flight. On the monitor, I was watching some things, you know. I was also listening to music. I was listening to podcasts with my headphones. Yeah, and what I also love doing, and I really did that a lot because I've always wanted to do that, and I knew that on long flights they have this map on the monitor that you can really follow the plane, and you can see where you are right now and where the closest cities are. That was so cool to finally see that live. I got onto my feet twice during the whole flight. So I only went to the toilet one time, and then the other time I got up and went to the board restaurant to get some water. And at the same time I also asked a steward if we were allowed to put up our blinds again, because literally, and that was so sad because I had a window seat, we had to put down the blinds not long after we took off, and apparently it was for the sun. We were passing by the sun pretty closely, I guess, and you know, for our own protection, I guess we just had to put down the blinds. It was just very weird. At first I thought that was because, you know, people want to sleep, whatever, but then also no one ever told us that we were allowed to put them up again. So I took the initiative and I was like, I have a window seat, I wanna look out the window at least some time of the flight. And then the steward was like, yeah, no, of course you can already put it up again, because that also was already like, you know, I think we had like 3 hours left, or even like 2 hours left of the flight, so also the sun was going down already. But yeah, for the majority of the whole flight the blinds were down. Oh yeah, food, oh my god, the food. So we had 2 meals during the flight. The first one was, and you know, they obviously also didn't have any vegan options, at least at the first time. they had a vegetarian option. One of the options was something with chicken, and then the other one was pasta with cheese and, you know, tomato sauce, and like some kind of salad, a piece of cake, and I don't even remember. What also really disappointed me was that the second time we got like, it was more like a snack towards the end of the flight. It consisted of a little sandwich, but that sandwich, it wasn't even vegetarian because it also had chicken. So I gave it to my colleague who was sitting next to me, so I couldn't even have that. And then, you know, the rest of it was like a yogurt, some crackers with cream cheese, and also another piece of cake, and something else, I think. Or no, I don't, yeah, well, you know, the sandwich, but yeah, it wasn't vegetarian, so it had a dead animal inside, and I'm not eating dead animals. And oh my god, now comes the really nerve-wracking part. We landed, got off the plane, and then, you know, had to go through passport control. Oh my god, also now I've got my first stamp ever in my passport, so that's also very exciting for me. And then after passport control, I was like, yeah, so now comes the tricky part, because now I have to change airport. I have to go to this other airport. As I don't have any data here, I logged into the Wi-Fi of the airport, and the thing is that also I think that impacted my reaction and my mental state a lot, is that the Wi-Fi was so bad and it was so slow, and also sometimes it just didn't work, and then it said you're not connected, there is no connection, blah blah. So that was also like driving me crazy in that situation, because I had to do things, I had to organize myself, I had to figure out now I think we landed at 9, and then, you know, with passport control and everything, I think, yeah, like 1 hour passed maybe. So at around 10, I would say, I had to figure out how to get to this airport that I'm at right now. So in the end, everything turned out well, as you can see, but while I was still figuring things out, I was really freaking out internally. I was panicking so much, because I was like, oh my god, I'm fucked. Like, how should I manage this? And, you know, I'm so lost. I don't even speak Portuguese, which is also, you know, not very nice, because also even here at the airport, people don't really speak English. Also not the young people. That, you know, and that's just also so different to Europe, which also makes the whole situation more difficult. I sat down with my bags, I tried to breathe, and the first thing I wanted to do was checking in for the flight that I have in the morning, you know, do the online check-in that I usually always do. I logged in, I wanted to do the check-in, and you know what it said? It said check-in closed. And that was the point where I really started panicking, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? No, please, no. What did I do? Like, what have I done? Why am I so stupid? Why didn't I check in on time? And in my head it was like, I'm fucked. Like, I will not be able to get on that flight. So then I went to a woman who worked there, and I was trying to explain things to her and ask her things, but also she didn't speak English. Then there was this man standing next to her, also an employee of the airport, I guess. Then I asked them, yeah, like, I need some information, like someone to speak to from the airport. And then he brought me up with the elevator to, there was an information point from the airport. Actually, that woman, she spoke English. And then my first concern was, like, I told her, so I have this flight from this other airport to Buenos Aires in the morning, and I just wanted to check in online, but now it said that check-in is closed, so what do I do now? And then she was like, yeah, no, you can check in at the airport directly as well. And, you know, I was like, but really, like, are you sure, can I still do that? Because, you know, really, for me in my head it was like, check-in closed, so okay, you missed your chance, you know. Luckily that was not the case. And then I also told her, yeah, I have to go to this airport. What is the best way to go there? Because also I checked on Google Maps at that time of the day. By then it was like 10:30 or something. There were no good connections. It said on Google Maps like I could have taken 2 different means of transport and it would have taken 7 or 8 hours in total to get here, like throughout the whole night. And then from like 5 in the morning there were better connections, which took like 1.5, 2 hours or something. So I also was like, yeah, okay, maybe I would just have to spend the night at the other airport and then just take the first best one that I can get in the morning, so I can arrive here as soon as possible. But then also she was like, yeah, I can also just take a cab. And then I was like, yeah, but do you know like what will be the price for that? And then she was like, yeah, something around like maybe 300. And then I was like, 300 euros? And then she was like, yeah, it's pretty expensive, she said. So of course I wasn't gonna do that. But then also they tried to explain to me, they said something about from whatever this airport to there's a bus leaving from here and it's free. And then I was like, okay, so wait, what exactly, like where does this bus go? And so in the end, you know, the man brought me downstairs again to the other woman who was actually sitting at the counter for this bus that they told me about. At 11:15 that bus left. And also, oh, those 2 people, they were so nice, even though, you know, we couldn't really communicate well. And then also she put some things into the translator. They were like, yeah, no, don't worry. And then they gave me like this paper ticket, just sit down over there, you can wait here and we will tell you when the bus is here. And then they brought me outside to the bus, you know, they really guided me, they really took care of me. That was so nice. I went on that bus. It took like 1 hour 40 minutes. And the thing is, I went yet to another airport. So I didn't come here with that bus. From the airport that I landed at, this bus went to another airport, but which was closer to the city center and also closer to this airport. So they also said, yeah, I can just take this bus because it's free, and then maybe from there take a taxi because then it obviously will be cheaper. On that bus I was so tired, I was getting so tired, and I was trying not to fall asleep, you know, because also, I don't know, I'm in Brazil, I'm in a completely different surrounding, and I just didn't want to just sleep and not know what's going on around me. But I was fighting, really. I was fighting for my life, trying not to fall asleep. The bus had Wi-Fi, and so when I was on the bus, I already was checking Uber and, you know, how much it would be in the end. Thank God the Wi-Fi on the bus was so much better than the one at the airport, so I was relieved about that as well. And so I downloaded the Uber app, and the thing is, I have never ever in my entire life used any of that. Like, I have not used a taxi, a cab, like an Uber by myself ever. So that was also kind of, you know, it was, I don't know, not really scary, but it was just a new thing. It said it, like, you know, converted into euros, it would be like only 20 euros to go from this other airport to here. So I was like, okay, that's fine. That's really nothing compared to like 300 euros. So we arrived at this other airport, and, you know, now comes the funny thing. I saw the guy who was sitting next to me for 10.5 hours on the plane to Brazil. He also recognized me and he was like, oh hey, and I was like, hey, so are you also flying, do you have a connection flight here? And he was like, yeah, but it's only in 7 hours. And I was like, I also have a connection flight, but it's actually not even from this airport, it's from this other one. He helped me because I told him, I was told at the other airport that it's probably best to take an Uber, and so now I'm trying to figure that out. But also, oh yeah, also that's what I was, one of the first things I also did when after I arrived at the Campinas airport. I tried to figure out about eSIM, so I could at least have mobile data, so I can do exactly things like that. It gives me a lot of security to know, hey, I have mobile data, so in case I need mobile data for anything, I will just need to get an eSIM. So I was informing myself about that, and I checked, like, you know, I compared prices from different websites, and that was actually when I was standing in line for the passport control. So then when I was sitting there, I bought a plan. I was trying to make it work, but then in the end I don't know, it didn't. I still have to figure that out later. So then, since I didn't have any data or internet when I was at the other airport, I told, his name is Gustavo, I told Gustavo I don't have any data and I will just have to try to log into this airport's Wi-Fi. And then he was like, yeah, no, you can just use mine. And then, you know, he shared his data with me, so I could in the end book the Uber, and he was also waiting outside with me because, and so yeah, then we obviously talked a little bit, and then I also, you know, I asked him, actually, what's your name? Nice to meet you. He said that he's half Spanish, half Brazilian, so that's why he also speaks Portuguese. He also has a Brazilian SIM card, and then he waited there with me until the Uber came, and then he also, you know, communicated because I was like, but do you know if now, like, the payment was already made, or do I have to do it at the end of the trip, because then if I will not have internet, it will probably not be possible. So he communicated that to the Uber driver and everything was fine, so it was already paid. So yeah, he dropped me off right over there at the door. It was pretty long, like the drive, it was like 40 minutes or something, but in the end it was only, I think, 16 euros. It was even a bit cheaper when I booked it, which was like 90 something reales, I think, Brazilian reales it's called, the currency here. And so also Gustavo, because I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's so nice, thank you, and he was like jokingly saying, yeah, that's for the sandwich that you gave to me. So I also was thinking, like, oh my god, really, like, you never know when you meet a person again, so you better be nice to everyone. Oh, and yeah, also for the topic of the check-in, I was still kind of worried, and I was like, oh my god, please, can I still check in for this flight, like the lady said at the other airport? So I went to the ticket sales thing from the airline that I will be flying with, and they also, none of them spoke English. So I tried, I showed them the phone, yeah, like, check-in is already closed, but can I still do it? And then they said, yeah, over there, like gate F, I saw that there are like these machines. There you can actually also do the check-in manually. So I just did that whole procedure. I had to select the airline that I'm flying with and put my reservation or booking number, identify myself by scanning my passport, and then my boarding pass got printed out. So now I also finally have the boarding pass. And then I asked an employee who was standing also there at the gates F. He also didn't speak English, but then, you know, I showed him my boarding pass, pointed at the hour. I was like, I have this flight at 11 in the morning. Is it possible to already check in this bag? And then he was like, yeah, no, like 4 hours before the flight at the earliest. I mean, he said that in Portuguese, but I understood him because it's also very similar to Spanish. Now that I still have my bag, I still have my hygiene stuff, my toiletry bag available, so I can go brush my teeth. It is now 2:33. Considering that, also for my brain, it feels like it's much later already because I've been up for a long time. I will have to spend all night at the airport. So yeah, this will still be a very long night for me. Okay, that was a huge update. I will see you probably sometime in the morning before the flight, I guess. I felt so bad after buying all of this. The Pringles and the chips were only 9 euros in total, but the fucking Kinder Bueno, I thought it would also be 17 reales, the Brazilian currency, but it clearly says US dollars. So I spent 15 fucking euros on this bag of Kinder Bueno. I felt so guilty, but then also I was just hungry. I needed some things to eat, some snacks. And by that time, I had been up for such a long time. I think my brain just didn't work properly anymore. And I was just like, yeah, I don't care. I'm just gonna get some food. And that was just fast and easy. So yeah, that's how I ended up doing that. By that time, I had already been up for 24 plus hours. I think you can tell from the look on my face. And I wasn't in the mood to talk into the camera or anything. I was just waiting for this last plane to Buenos Aires. And also, I bought this, neck pillow because I was like, I have been up for so long and I'm definitely gonna sleep on the plane to Buenos Aires. Yeah, that was not a very good investment because in the end I couldn't really sleep and it was pretty uncomfortable. I don't know how people use that thing, because for me it's like it just presses you forward so much. It's not even comfortable when you're sitting there. So yeah, I was like, okay, I could have just not bought that thing, but well, now I have it and I'm sure it will be made use of in the future at some point. And after another around 3-hour flight, I think I finally landed in Buenos Aires. Both seats next to me on the plane were empty. That was amazing. So I just had this whole row for myself. We even got another snack on that plane. Hello, this is Lena from pretty far in the future. For me right now, it's the 8th of February. I'm sitting here in my hostel bed, finally finishing up this first part of the Buenos Aires vlogs. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And everything that happened after landing, I will continue telling you in the next video. Bye bye!